All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for June 11th, 2019. Can I get the roll call, please?
Yes, let the record show that all commissioners are present. You have quorum.
Thank you. Will you rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you bow your heads with me for a brief prayer? Father God, I come to you tonight on behalf of our town. God, I ask that you watch over our elected body as well as our police department. I ask that you watch over us as we're here tonight and we'll be leaving here this evening. Please be with the troops serving overseas and our police department, paramedics, and fire service, God. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, first on the agenda is an executive session report from May 28th. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes. As you recall, the last town meeting on the 28th was not adjourned so that the elected body could go into an executive session. So a motion was made by Commissioner Warnick, seconded by Commissioner Arthur-Reed, to go into executive session at 8:15 p.m. That vote passed 3-0. The reason for the meeting was to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, essentially of personnel. And the other item was to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. The topics at the meeting, the people in attendance at the meeting was myself, Calvin A. Bonenberger Jr., the town administrator, with the elected officials. The minutes of the meeting were sealed as provided for by state law. The motion was made by Commissioner Warnick, seconded by Commissioner Pearson to seal those minutes. The vote was 3-0. A motion was made by Commissioner Arthur-Reed, seconded by Commissioner Pearson to leave executive session. That motion passed 3-0. And a motion was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Warnick to adjourn the meeting. That vote passed 3-0, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:59 p.m. It's important to note, and I skipped over this, that the elected officials in attendance were Mayor Marion, Commissioner Arthur-Reed, Commissioner Pearson, Commissioner Warnick, and Commissioner Braun was not in attendance but did call in by phone. She is not eligible to vote on any matters and is not marked as present for the meeting, but she did participate in the discussion by phone.
Thank you, Town Administrator. There are no public presentations tonight. Business meeting items, Town Administrator.
The only thing, this happens, it seems like every year or every other year, where we have the issue of holidays, recognized town holidays either falling on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and in those cases the board in the past has voted to close town hall either the Monday before a holiday or the Friday after a holiday. That is not something that is set in stone. It's something that is mentioned in the employee personnel manual that is provided as an option to the elected body. So I'm putting that in front of you.
Elected body, what is the pleasure regarding the holiday on July 5th?
I'll make a motion, we close town hall on Friday, July 5th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving into citizens' input. Would anyone like to speak this evening? Thank you. Chief?
No report, sir.
No report. Town Administrator?
A couple interesting items for you. Again, we are getting, and Mayor, you're seeing it when you're in here, the amount of people that are coming in to meet to discuss various land development projects that are going on. I did attend, Cecil County does an economic development meeting with all the town administrators on a monthly basis. And we did this past Friday, we did a tour of Cecilton. And the idea is every once in a while to go to the different communities so that everybody in the county can sort of see what's going on. And it's really a lot of fun because then the staff members, and there are some elected officials in attendance, we all sit down and try to strategize and help the host community out with maybe some scenarios that they have. One of the things that Cecilton is trying to accomplish is to get lighting in some of the community parks down there. So there were a lot of great ideas on how to do that. There was another discussion that came up regarding a lot of the smaller towns are missing the benefits of having like a small chamber business group like the town of Rising Sun does. And they were each talking about how the Cecil County Chamber plays a wonderful role for the county as a whole, but it becomes difficult for the Cecil County Chamber to focus attention in the smaller towns, and that's where the beauty of our chamber comes into play. We all know how successful our chamber is. So I had a discussion with the folks in the Greater Rising Sun Chamber, and very similar to the Rising Sun Lions Club, you may or may not know this, but a couple of years ago, the Rising Sun Lions Club, I think, took either Conowingo or Kalura under their wing to help create a Lions Club down there. And they basically chaperoned them for a couple of years until they got their officers and members built up. And now that organization is very successful down. And I apologize, I'm not sure if it's Kalura or Conowingo.
I think it was Conowingo.
Okay. So I floated the same idea to both Port Deposit and Cecilton, and I spoke to the president of our chamber. They would be willing to invite key people from those business groups down there to participate and sort of help chaperone, sort of like a big brother to them that to help get a chamber organization up off the ground for them. I believe it's only about maybe 3 or 4 years ago that Perryville's chamber folded up. So we, other than Elkton, with the Elkton Alliance, I'm not sure if there's any other chambers out there. I'm not sure if Chesapeake City has a chamber, something like that. I know Northeast has a very successful business organization, but I'm not sure if it quite functions as a chamber. So it was a very productive meeting, but the really neat thing was we got a lot of eyes opened up from the other communities about all the things that are going on in the town of Rising Sun. I've been sharing with the mayor, we got a recent concept plan for someone who wants to take the limited commercial area over on Buckley Avenue, the old armory, I guess it was, shooting range. They have a concept to redevelop that and put some retail spaces in there. Down here on Main Street, I met with Tommy Dye again today, who has some really interesting visions on expanding his location down there, expanding upon that. So there's just a lot of exciting things going on right now. The one thing that I did hear that I passed along to the mayor is, as we all know, Mayor Zane is a realtor in Cecil County. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but some of the things that we had talked about was the housing, the desire for housing in Cecil County. And we've talked at our meetings before, the mayor has mentioned several times how good quality residential housing is really in demand in the Rising Sun area. And that was echoed by the mayor of Cecilton, who's a realtor, who had said that the northern part of Cecil County and the southern part of Cecil County in the Chesapeake City, Cecilton area are in high demand for good quality residential housing. That's where people want to go. I don't want to get in trouble in saying this, but there is a little bit of a difference between what's being promoted on the 40 corridor in terms of the warehouses and the jobs being attracted to that area not everybody who wants to locate to Cecil County wants to live in those areas. They want to be, maybe a little bit more land, a little bit more spread out, and not in that hustle and bustle of the 40-95 corridor. So obviously the 40 and 95 corridor plays a major role in the sustainability of Cecil County, but it's not the end all of it. It's not it's not the solution to all of the county's housing and economic issues. She's putting everything there. The market is sort of dictating that not everybody wants to relocate into those areas. So we have a lot of things going for us, and we just have to keep the momentum going.
Thank you. The mayor's report tonight, first and foremost, I wanted to say our little library is back after a brief hiatus. A special thank you to Calvin Bonenberger, Sr. and Jr. for the amazing work they did with lag bolts, because our community definitely knows how to stuff a library, so we needed a little bit more support. You may not have noticed, but we do have new rocking chairs on our front porch. When Town Hall was built and dedicated 15 years ago, the rocking chairs were dedicated to people who've made an above and beyond impact in our community. A few of the names: Sally Teague, Raymond Stewart, Charlton Poist. This year, the board and I are honored to dedicate a new chair. This person is someone who dedicated a large portion of their life to the Rising Sun community. George Walker served first as Chief of Police of Rising Sun and then as Commissioner from 2013 to 2015. We just want to say thank you for the dedication that his family showed to our community. So those rocking chairs are out there if you want to check them out. I also wanted to say this 30th year of Sunfest was an amazing event. I am particularly grateful to the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, who does an amazing job with their army of volunteers, including Commissioner Warnick, who I know will probably speak shortly about it. I'm also very grateful to our town staff, who sold over $1,000 worth of t-shirts that will go to our community events fund and to our police and public safety breakfast. Grateful to the vendors and performers who continue to support Sunfest every year. I think this Sunfest was the largest one that we've had so far, so a great job to the Rising Sun community. Last but not least, I also wanted to mention that some of you may have seen that Cecil County will host the largest lacrosse tournament of the season with 8,000 plus players, fans, and family in the area. So near the Calvert area, please expect heavier than normal traffic. Cecil County likes to say that they promote wanting business here in Cecil County. I would say that I wish that Rising Sun could take better advantage of that tournament. I would love to see those players and family members come into the Rising Sun community and experience businesses here. I would love to see in the future that potentially they stay here. That is something that I disagree with the county administration on, but I would definitely love to see a larger impact for Cecil County. They love to talk about the economic impact of Calvert Regional Park, but you do see a lot of those teams and players and family stay in Delaware instead of staying here in Maryland. So I would definitely like to see a bigger impact here in Rising Sun because we are the closest municipality to Calvert Regional Park. That concludes the mayor's report. Commissioner Auchenreith.
I want to speak about a service we have here in town. Every Monday, our Public Works guys, weather permitting, pick up yard waste. That's some small tree branches, grass clippings, just general yard waste. We put out each month a list with the rules of weight, size. This is not a tree removal service that we do. We are one of the very few communities that provide this service. We do it year-round too. So to all residents, be mindful of what you're putting out. That if you put out branches that are bigger and heavier than the rules, they're not going to pick them up. If you put out grass clippings, try to cover them if they're in a trash can, because if we get a rain on them, they seem to put on an extra 10 pounds. I think we have a 40-pound limit. Just be mindful of the people that are coming to pick this stuff up. We don't have the equipment like trash haulers do, where they roll the can around to the back of the truck, hook it to a hydraulic arm, and it can lift it regardless of weight and dump it into the back. Then they can push the empty can back on wheels. These guys are lugging this stuff by hand, dumping it into a trailer, and eventually this has to go over to the Cecil County landfill, where they have rules and regulations, and they will reject stuff also. So I asked Judy and her staff to put out the flyer again in the next water bill to remind everybody. But please, follow the rules. Don't call us up and say, they didn't come pick my stuff up, and because if they didn't, there's a good reason. It was either too big, too heavy, not bundled together properly, and not meeting the small requirements we ask for this yard waste pickup that we do. And like I said, they do it every Monday, weather permitting, and no emergencies. If there's a holiday on Monday, they'll get it on Tuesday. If they miss it on Monday, they're usually back on Tuesday, like I said, depending on what's happened. So just be considerate of the guys that are coming out, because if somebody gets hurt, that's a workman's comp claim. That can drive our insurance up, and we won't be doing great things like we did this year, like reducing property tax, because the cost of doing business goes up. So this is a big part of everybody's responsibility, myself included. Use the proper storage bags, put out paper bags, not regular plastic trash bags, because these are not accepted in the landfill area of yard waste and tree clippings and stuff. Green, lawn, big trash bags are not acceptable. So I think that's all I have tonight. Just like I said, be mindful what you're putting out, yard waste, and the guys picking it up.
Thank
Mayor.
you, Commissioner Alton-Reed. Commissioner
Mayor.
Braun?
Mayor Marion,
Yes.
before we move away from Commissioner Arthur, it's just come to my attention, and I'd like to piggyback on what you just said. And the other issue we have to be mindful of is recycling. And repeatedly, let me say it this way, this year, the town doesn't have a whole lot of money coming in. We talk about this every year, but we still manage to provide services by being mindful of the money that we are spending. And one of the areas where we can control our own destiny as a community is the way we recycle. And we are repeatedly not getting the benefit of the recycling that we are doing because we're having a hard time getting residents to be mindful of the rules of recycling. And I'm looking at a bill here from the county where only one time in the last month did our recyclables get dumped at the much reduced recycling rate. It all got dumped into regular trash. And it's because either the items are not properly separated. We put it out in our water bill, pizza boxes and food containers, that's not recyclable. And when that stuff shows up in the landfill, they actually will either flag the truck and make them take it to the trash portion of the dump, or they will come out with a big skid steer and load all the trash up back off the ground, bill the town of Rising Sun for having to pick it back up off the ground, and then put it in another truck and take it to the landfill. So this is not our trash hauler that the problem is. The problem is we've got to do a better job of getting our recyclables to pass the required tests for Cecil County, or we're going to just continue to pay a lot of money.
Well, Calvin, if we reach that point, then we may have to look at stopping recycling. As much as I know it's a very popular thing, but if we can't get the citizens to follow it, where it's costing the other citizens money, then I think we have to look at the overall benefit of not having recycling to cut the cost.
Well, let me just state this. I don't think cutting recycling is going to save your costs, because when we don't recycle right, it gets treated as trash. So if we just stop recycling, it's just all going to be treated as trash, and it's going to be the same disposal rate. whether we do it voluntarily by saying, hey, we're not going to recycle anymore, or we continue to not handle the recycling right, the end result is going to be significantly higher cost to our residents. And we're not going to be able to control that. The town is not going to be able to control that. We really need residents to be more mindful of it, because it does have a domino financial impact on everybody when it's not recycled right. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Braun.
A week ago, Monday, the town administrator and myself met with the Department of Highways, and we did a walkthrough through Route 273 from one end of town to the other. We had made a request for them to come in to look at the road because we wanted some repairs done. Since then, we received word that they will begin patching on June 14th at 7:30. Their plan is to do the work in the evening to lessen the impact to the town. It's planned that the work will be done in 3 days, but it could possibly go into 4 days. Route 273 will be one lane around 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. each day during the repairs. The Maryland State Police will be providing traffic support for safety and control. Flaggers will be present to ensure one-lane safety during work. And the fire and EMS teams have been made aware of this effort. Our local police are also aware of the work being done and will be available during working hours. Anyone with any question could contact Town Hall at 410-658-5353. The Department of Highway would then come back in July, probably around July 12th, and do a curb-to-curb overlay of that road, of that section of the road.
I want to thank Commissioner Braun for her hard work and assistance with working with the State Highway Administration. We'll also be working on a number that you can reach out directly to State Highway if you have concerns during the evening hours. We're still working to get that number, which we'll be passing along to the residents along Main Street. Commissioner Pearson.
I don't have anything from the town other than to say that the town staff on Sunfest was really put a lot of effort into selling our shirts. It was kind of comical to watch them, but they hawked those shirts really well. They really did.
Well, big thank you to them, because that definitely helps our community events fund.
On a separate note, at the last meeting, I told you about a friend of mine who had the privilege of going to Normandy as a bagpiper. He was given the privilege of playing Amazing Grace on Omaha Beach that morning of D-Day. And he is extremely proud, and as a fellow firefighter, he really brought a lot of good things to the fire service. Thank you.
Commissioner Warnick.
Sunfest, as the mayor said, was very successful this year. We got lucky and had really good weather, like excellent weather for Sunfest. I think we had a larger, as you said, we had probably the largest crowd ever. We actually had a few less vendors than last year, but I think we did have was, and we had a very good event that was very crowded pretty much most of the day. On that note, I'd like to thank the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, particularly Bud McFadden was one of the big driving forces. There's actually a whole committee of people. The Vanderhoffs allowed us to meet in their coffee shop every Sunfest committee meeting pretty much for the whole year. Hunters are always very helpful. Vince Salmons, Vinny helped out this year with the actual event. So, there were a lot of, and it's actually an event sponsored by the chamber. But the town puts a lot into it also. On that note, the town staff, I'd like to thank everybody on town staff, whether it be making sure we had the correct provisionings for the day, whether, porta pots and trash cans, to, making sure the picnic tables were set up and that, everything, yeah, and I was gonna, all the everything was set up the day before for the event. And then the morning of, the chief and his guys made sure that, everybody was safe. We had a little demonstration on Main Street in front of Bigfoot's this year. The fire department got to do a demonstration. It was pretty exciting. We were going to say we planned that, because we got some good stuff planned for next year. But that was this year's big event, so
Nice.
we'll just go with it. And the fire police did a great job. The fire department, of course, was very supportive, as well as state police and sheriff's office. So everybody kind of came together from the town and those different organizations and helped out to make it a great event. And I look forward to working with everybody again next year.
Thank you, Commissioner Warnick. Upcoming meetings, there's a joint public hearing between the town board and the planning commission regarding our town comprehensive plan. That is Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. There's a planning commission workshop on Monday, July 8th at 6:30. Just a reminder that the next town meeting on June 25th is canceled for the MML Summer Conference, which will run from the 23rd to the 26th. So the next town meeting will actually be July 9th at 7 p.m. There's another planning workshop on Monday, July 22nd at 6:30, and then another town meeting on July 23rd at 7 p.m. Last but not least, I did want to send a special congratulations to the Rising Sun High School class of 2019. From all of us, we definitely want to say, don't forget your hometown, keep your feet on the ground, and reach for the stars. Could I get a motion
Mr.
for
Mayor?
adjournment? Yes.
Should we be expecting a meeting somewhere between now and the end of the month to approve budget?
Yes,
Okay,
we,
so we'll announce that at some point.
Coming up. Yes.
yes.
Okay,
All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.